All right, let's dive into the super high-stakes world of fintech security. I mean, this is an industry that's completely changing how we deal with money, but that also makes it a massive, glowing target for cyber threats. And the really scary part, a lot of the security beliefs we lean on, well, they're actually just myths. So let's start busting. Think about what fintech really is at its core. It's all about lightning-fast transactions, it's about your most sensitive personal data, your entire financial life, and it all lives on these incredibly complex cloud platforms. Everything is connected, and you know what? Every single one of those connections is a potential door for an attacker to walk right through.
So right there, you've got this fundamental tension. The very innovation that gives us all this amazing convenience and opportunity, it also creates this gigantic, complicated surface for attackers to hit. The level of risk we're talking about here is just off the charts.
And that brings us to the big question for today. Are the security beliefs we're banking on actually based in fact? Or are they just myths that give us a false and frankly dangerous sense of security? Let's dig in and find out.
First up, we're going to look at the resources we tend to throw at the problem. Our security tools and our expert teams. It turns out the common wisdom here might be leading us down a pretty bad path.
Let's kick things off with a classic. You know the drill, right? A new threat pops up, and the immediate reaction from management is, go buy a new tool. The logic seems simple enough. More tools must mean more security. But is that actually true?
Well, the reality is a big, resounding no. In fact, having too many tools, what we call tool sprawl, can actually make you less secure. Seriously, it just adds a ton of complexity, makes it harder for your security team to see the big picture, and it creates these dangerous little blind spots that attackers absolutely love to exploit.
So this is the crucial takeaway right here. A smart, integrated strategy where all your tools can actually talk to each other and give you a single, clear picture of what's going on. That is infinitely more valuable than just having a pile of disconnected security products. It's all about quality, not quantity. Okay, so if throwing more tools at the problem isn't the answer, what about throwing more people at it? This brings us to myth number 2, the idea that we can just hire our way into a stronger security posture.
Now, just take a look at this data. A staggering 50%, half of businesses in the UK don't even have foundational cybersecurity skills. This just screams skills gap. It proves you can't just hire more people. You need people with the right skills, and you need to back them up with smart processes and automation.
All right, let's shift gears. Now we're going to talk about something a little closer to home. The flawed assumptions we all make about security, and even more importantly, about human behavior.
I want you to just think for a second about probably the most common piece of security advice anyone's ever been given. Make sure you use a strong password. In the world of fintech, with so much at stake, is that really good enough?
The answer is a hard no. For a high-risk environment like fintech, the modern standard isn't just a friendly suggestion, it's an absolute must. You have to be using multi-factor authentication, or MFA. That extra layer of security, where you need a second proof of who you are, is completely non-negotiable.
And if you need any more proof, just look at this number. Over 23 million accounts are still using 123456 as their password. This just perfectly shows why relying on passwords alone is a recipe for disaster. Human nature will always find the easiest path. Okay, let's tackle another really big assumption. We spend so much time and money building this strong digital fortress, right? A perimeter to keep the bad guys out. But are we even looking in the right direction?
This chart tells such a powerful story. A massive 74% of all data breaches involve the human element. And listen, this isn't just about malicious insiders trying to steal data. It includes simple, honest mistakes. The biggest threat is, more often than not, already inside the building.
So this really brings us to the turning point. This quote just sums it all up perfectly. Real security maturity isn't about how much you spend or how many tools you buy. It's all about having an intelligent, integrated strategy. So the question becomes, how do we build one?
It's time to just throw out the old rulebook. We need a new playbook, one that shifts our entire way of thinking away from these myths and outdated ideas and towards true, provable security maturity.
It really boils down to 3 huge shifts. First, stop focusing on tools and start focusing on actual business risk. Second, security can't be a once-a-year thing. It has to be a continuous process of monitoring and testing. And third, we have to ditch that old castle and moat idea and move to a zero-trust architecture. That just means you don't automatically trust anyone or anything, inside or outside your network. You verify everything every single time.
Okay, theory is great, but let's get practical. What does the CISO, or any security leader for that matter, actually need to do on Monday morning? Here's the action plan.
Here's your checklist. Number 1, roll out MFA and zero trust principles, and do it aggressively. 2, clean up that tool sprawl to get better visibility. 3, continuously train your employees with things like phishing simulations. 4, get modern threat detection in place. That's stuff like EDR on your laptops, NDR watching your network traffic, and a CM to pull all that data together. And finally, you have to regularly test your own defenses. Hire ethical hackers to try and break in.
And this right here is the end goal. This is the sentence you should be able to walk into a boardroom and say it with total confidence. It's not about promising you'll never get hit. That's unrealistic. It's about proving that when you do get hit, you can get back up and running fast. That's what real operational resilience looks like.
So we'll leave you with this final question to think about. Take a hard look at your own organization. Is your security program a real business enabler that lets you innovate safely? Or is it still propped up by the very myths we've just debunked? Honestly, the answer to that question could determine the entire future of your company.